Good evening. Welcome to Waaaay Offsides. A little bit different lineup for a second anyway. Got our man Bill here.
Rolling.
Jeff, Cotton. Chris might be along shortly. Got some life things going on. So we're just hanging out with me and Bill for now. We've got some folks in the chat. Hey, Cat, what's up? Roll Tide. C-Dub, roll Mother Effing Tide.
Hey, I found out what happened to Cotton. He had to go to Tallahassee for work today, and he got hepatitis.
Hey!
So thoughts and prayers, man. Thoughts and prayers.
Thoughts and prayers. Thoughts and prayers, indeed. Oh, man, poor guy. That's a shame.
Poor guy. You drive through Tallahassee, and you pick up the hep.
That's a shame. That poor guy. So, Bill, what's going on? How are you this week?
Man, it's been good. I was at the beach most of the week. What can I complain about?
I'm about to say, what do you got to complain about?
Exactly.
I was not at the beach.
Well, and you still don't want to complain because last Saturday night the Tide kicked some ass. Blank.
Yeah, oh God, that was fun watching us beat Georgia again. But listening to the Georgia people claim a win in this game just because they came back and took the lead and gave it right back 10 seconds later.
Right.
I don't get that. I don't know.
This
like
was
a lot of
3
moral
games.
Victory talking, man.
Yeah, this was 3 games in one. A blowout win in the first half.
Right.
A slugfest in the third and fourth quarter, and a come from behind win in the fourth quarter. And Coach DeBoer and the team did it right in all 3 phases. I listened to the coach's press conference on Monday from the beach, and but I listened to the coach's press conference and
the beach.
The
beach.
Yeah. So
my
Sheridan
tea and crumpets were tasting still.
Yeah, I did not have a servant at the beach. I am my wife's cabana when we go down there. But
that's it.
I mean, this is our beach trip. I like get up, make some coffee, do stuff. Bling bling. Can you go set up the tent? Bling bling. Can you bring me a Diet Coke? So I love it because I've got
happy wife, happy life, brother.
Heck yeah. So I listened to the press conference Monday. Coach Sheridan basically said, look, we had a good lead. He didn't use these words. He said, we had a good lead. We were doing everything right. We were firing all cylinders. And we just decided we'd continue to do that. And they didn't know how Georgia would adjust. And Georgia started coming up on the edges and trying to shut down the corners effectively. But the real adjustment was what was the defense going to do? And Coach Womack said point blank, and this is the quote. He said, when you go to a straight zone versus a guy like Carson Beck, he's going to carve you apart. And that's what he did. He said, first half, they were confusing him, and we all saw that. Second half, they let him, it was a prevent defense is essentially what they did. And but he explained that what this defense does is mind blowing. They will set up. He said, "We'll give you one look pre-snap.
Thanks, Eric.
Then we'll adjust post-snap." He said, "And we might readjust on that snap." He said, "So we might give you 3 looks." He said, "We might give you 3 looks, or go back to the first thing." And he said, that's what we did effectively in the first half. So what he was saying was, that's how Beck got confused. And then the pressure, my goodness, the pressure. But I think the coaching staff learned a lesson. When you're going against a SEC team that's top 2 in the country, you don't let up. And
can't let up in this league, man.
This is not gentleman rules. This is killing.
You got to take them out. But I really think that botched PI call at the end of the first half, I think had we scored in 1.5, 33-7 or even 37-7.
No, that would have been 33 or 37. Yeah.
Because Yeah, because and so I mean, I don't know. I just that crap Joel Klatt was saying about how Beck figured us out in the second half and all that stuff. That is not what was happening. Watch the game. He should have thrown about 8 picks in the second half. And
yes, he should have
5 of them.
Well, didn't Deontay Lawson drop one?
Yes, he's dropped 3 in 4 games. If my memory
that would have been a pick
correct.
6.
3 pick 6s in 4 games.
So so my wife and I went out the other night for dinner, and the establishment had the replay of the game on. And at 10 minutes to go in the game, fourth quarter, 10 minutes to go in the game, it's 33-15. And there's a bogus pass interference call on Bama that extends the drive. 2 plays later, it's 33-22 or 21 because they missed the go for 2. So it's 33-21. And then that I'm convinced that PI at 10 minutes to go in the game changed the game, because that would have taken the defense off the field, give them a breather, good field position and momentum. You're up by 16, 17, whatever it was, and you're heading the other direction. And
right.
I think that was if Coach Bryant said there's 3 to 4 plays per game. I think that would have been the PI at the end of the first half and the PI in the fourth quarter. That really it was reminiscent of that Tennessee game a couple of years ago. The flag comes in late, and you saw Coach DeBoer get lit up again on that.
Man, he was hot.
I loved it. Coach DeBoer, he's the man. We have whatever my $75 a year contribution is to his salary, it's effective.
Worth every penny.
That's right.
Worth every penny. Yeah, and I thought we really missed when, and kudos to Georgia. They came out in the second half and they sealed the edges off. So that Milroe edge play was no longer effective once Georgia adjusted and sealed off that the edges. So I thought that was an opportunity for us to feed the running backs between the tackles, to line up and go between the tackles and heavy doses, jam and justice. While they were sealing off the edge, we would attack them downhill, almost like we did against Wisconsin, where we just ran between the tackles all day. Right. Until they had to adjust again and then shift back to attacking the edges. I thought we missed I thought we continued to try to attack the edges even though it wasn't there, and it showed in the second half possessions. You could punt, field goal, punt, and then the Ryan Williams touchdown. Right. And it was night and day difference in the philosophy and the play calling and between the 2 halves. But I thought that's where we missed a real chance to. Absolutely.
It got conservative. And again, I said this after the game Saturday night. I'll say it again tonight. These coaches they came from a different background, Big Ten, Pac-12, different. And there's just an unwritten rule everywhere. You don't embarrass an opponent because you might face them later. You might see them next year, or you might see them later in the season. There's that is an unwritten rule. And it was on the edge of, we're going to make number 2 Georgia look like number 2 Dookie. And it was I'm sure the coaching staff was like, look, we don't want it. We got to be hospitable, treat them right. But you know what? They signed up for 60, and they came to play 60, and they could have won the game. So that's a teaching lesson. In the Big 12, Big 10, whatever it is, Big 10, Pac-12, you get up 30-7 in the first half on somebody, and they're not coming back. Washington, Kalen DeBoer's Washington would have come back. Chip Kelly's Oregon 15 years ago might have come back, but no, that's a different. So it's a big teaching lesson.
This right here, nobody has given Debo any credit for this. Everybody's saying that Georgia's figured us out. If we meet again, it won't be the same. That Georgia got us this time. And I'm with K-Spray here. What y'all think Debo gonna have for Georgia if we play them again? You think he's just gonna run out there and run the same plays? Mm-mm. By the time we play them again, we'll be 12 games into a season. This team's going to look a lot different.
Well, we said this. You particularly said this going in for the first 3 preseason games, that we would open. We've got the playbook open like this, Well, with Georgia, we just opened a little bit more. And Monday's press conference, Nick Sheridan said, we've got all this in the playbook. They asked him about the trick plays, the 2 trick plays. And he said, we saw an opportunity to run them. They've been working good in practice. He said, we've been running a lot of everything out of the playbook and we wanted to test it. So the playbook's probably 60% open right now. And
yeah,
you know, I thought that was hilarious though. When Jalen starts walking toward the sideline and they quick snap it.
That was good.
That's some middle school stuff right there. And it almost was successful.
I like the trick plays that go north-south. When you do like 6 reverses to try to a flea flicker, 6 reverse flea flicker pass, and then we lost 7 yards or whatever. Like those kill momentum. Those are just momentum killers, man.
And they're hard.
Juice ain't worth the squeeze.
You can do that against Western Kentucky, and you can do that against Vanderbilt. But it's going to be hard pushing to go against a top-tier team on that.
Those plays never, ever work.
And they rarely work in the NFL.
Thank you.
That's right. Don't forget, he's in the national championship.
He was.
Boom.
Thank you.
The man knows what he's doing. You know,
man, Kirby Smart got him in the second half. He had him. Like a prayer to Ryan Williams. Prayer my ass. That was a skilled play. That wasn't no luck play.
That was a design play. They asked on Monday, they asked Coach DeBoer about that, and he said, we've been working on that type of play where Jalen intentionally throws it behind him to make him come back to get it, and the defenders keep going. I was like, oh, crap. These guys are playing chess, and I'm over here playing, yacht.
Chess, not checkers, baby.
I'm not even up to checkers yet,
And Ryan Williams, like, the ball just sticks to that guy's hands, man. He's got such soft hands and such a gift for snatching the football, for attacking the football.
You know who else has got some good hands? And he also wears number 2 is Xavier Brown. That pick at the end of the game.
It was almost like he baited him the 2 series before that. Or the call, because when we play up on the line, that's when we do the old never look to find the ball, run through the receiver. If he's going up for the ball, we would just plow through him because we're not turning around to find the ball. Or they would get a pass interference, they'd catch it over because we'd never look back and swat it away, or never look back and pick it off. We would just run and then hands up, and whatever happens. And that's what happened to Zabian on the couple series before that. But then that last play, Herb Street did a great job pointing that out on the broadcast, where we played about 10 yards off of him, where Zabian keep his eyes forward and saw the throw and made the play and made a hell of an interception, man. He had to reach back across.
I mean, it was just
his body.
It looked like, honestly, it looked kind of like a Lynn Swann catch from the 70s. You're a Steelers fan. I know you've seen those. Where, I mean, Lynn would he would bait the defender and then go make the catch like that. And I was like, who is the target on that? Because Zabian took it like it was his. And it was Roll Tide. I will say, all right, let me ask this. We saw a lot of improvement with JMil.
Did.
Some good improvement. What do you think? I mean, we know he can run like a scared deer. What stood out for you as a key play for his improvement?
Well, there were several plays where he felt really confident. Like you could see his poise, you could see his confidence when the pocket collapsed. The one collapsed on the right side, he ducked under the guy. He ducked up under him, came out, turned it up, used his legs. A couple times he missed a couple holes, but his command of the offense is growing. His comfort in it, his comfort in the pocket. Of course, the offensive line is just giving him all day to throw. I mean,
the offensive line was
the
beautiful.
Offensive line is insanely incredible so far this year. But I really, even the last play. Georgia came back, took the lead. We got the ball at the 25. And the first play, he noticed that the safety was cheating the middle and knew that he had Ryan Williams one-on-one on that outside, and immediately knew where he was throwing the ball, didn't hesitate, hit that back foot, stepped into it, and put the ball only where Ryan Williams can come back and get it. And I thought that was just amazing. I maybe it's obvious to people that know what they're looking at when they get to the line and see the defense where that safety kind of cheats the middle. From sitting on my couch and my limited knowledge, I thought that was a great read by Milroe to notice that he had that sliver of space with Hollywood and whoever number 12, Humphreys, I guess, over on that side, and Humphreys was playing up on him, and I think he knew the second he saw that sliver he had, I can throw it here. There's no way the safety can get there in time, and 12's not going to be able to turn and find it like that. And it ended up turning into Ryan Williams did the rest after that. But it started with Milroe noticing that safety kind of step or two towards the middle and knew he had that window.
Well, and I said this
showed
last
up with the
week.
Windex.
I said, Windows. I said
this. The Windex.
I said this last week. Hollywood. He's only 17. That
how old is he? You guys heard yet?
I mean, they only said it 100 times. That young man has moves at full speed that break ankles. And he is, on that last touchdown play, Milroe sees it's 1-to-1. And he goes out there, boom. And the guys had good coverage on him, but he knew Milroe was going to get it to him in the right spot. And that was amazing. And Kat brought this up. I think the play that made me sit up and go, JMil's ready. It was that wheel route to Jam Miller.
Oh my gosh. That was the throw of the
second
year.
Or third read. And all right, so not only was it the touch and all that stuff, when Jam turns, the ball is at his chest. It's not here. It's not out front. It's the mail getting delivered. We need to call Milroe the mailman because he's putting it in the box.
He was putting in the box. You're right.
And that pass, I was sitting there going, oh, because it was perfectly placed. Product placement.
Perfect product placement.
That's right.
To the unofficial UA assistant coaches.
And but he was the mailman. He was Karl Malone. It was just because, I'm in my mind.
Throw of the year.
In my mind, I said, oh, the wheel route's open. And when he turns that head, the ball's hit right in the mailbox. And
the
replay shows you more detail, but Eric, it was a perfect pass.
That angle down on the field where the pass was coming to you, and you could see the ball on a line, and then Jam just ran right up under it and bang right in his hip pocket. And I was like, that is throw of the year. Like, beautiful. Just an insane throw. What a throw. Perfect touch, perfect placement, just ridiculous.
Two things were missing on that play and on Hollywood's final touchdown. The security guard should have been back there doing this,
waving him in. Yeah.
Oh, I missed that. That makes it, and that can't blame the coaching staff on that. But the moves that Hollywood on two of those long passes.
Hollywood, man. I'm about to put these on. We're talking about Hollywood, man. Just out of respect,
that guy.
Come on now.
I can't believe he's only 17.
In case you hadn't heard, he's 17. But the catch he made, that catch, and then the dead leg where he popped two guys, ran into each other, and then he's just outran him to the end zone. That's just sick. And then he took his mouthpiece out about the 5-yard line because he knew he was about the dirty bird.
It wasn't just the dead leg. He catches the ball, spins behind them.
Yeah.
Then runs between them and makes them run into each other.
Boom.
It's like it's unfair.
Speed kills.
And Kirby said, You can't defend that guy.
And I
was watching halftime on the Troy Texas State game. RIP Troy.
1-4 for Troy. Ouch.
They're hurting, man, and I love them. That's my boys.
Oh,
and
Trojans.
Go Trojans. Gotta love the Trojans. And so the negative about what Trevor Maddich said was, he said, okay, you can put a spy on Milroe and you're taking somebody off of Hollywood. You go to coverage on Hollywood, you try to double up on Hollywood. Now you've taken everybody off of Milroe. He said,
bad idea.
This is a bad combo. Chris, I like your comment. I think
she's back.
Southern Red.
Red is back. You know, MIA. We've been wondering where the Southern Red was the last few weeks.
I'm not advertising for condominiums, but if you need any, I know where they are.
Yeah, I'm with you, Chris. We got some unfinished business with Texas.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I want another shot at them.
So,
I want another shot.
Let me ask you this, Jeff. Yeah, we love you, Southern. We love you. So let me ask you this. Tennessee has had an amazing first 4 games. And, of course, they've been scoring. I mean, they've been playing Tennessee State for the blind and Georgia Tech for the crippled and, Kentucky for the lame and all that stuff. But their defense is what I'm particularly paying attention to. And we got to go up there in a few weeks.
That's
what do you think about those
No, it's not mean, and you should laugh more. This lends credence to the fact that I think that Bond saw this kid coming and was
I think you're right.
Well, maybe I'll roll over here to Texas where I know that I'll be getting the most targets, because when this kid gets here, he's going to take them all from us.
Well, I mean, we thought Kendrick Law was going to be getting all the targets, and I love K-Law, and I love his name always falls out of my mind.
Emmanuel Anderson.
Emmanuel Henderson. Kobe Prentice.
Man, Jeremy's been playing.
Jeremy's been doing good. We've got some great receivers, and it seems like they're not greedy. Like I'm not getting my touches, I'm not going to play. No, they're blocking downfield. When the ball's their way, they're making the play. And I think, if you're in the receiver room, you look around and go, okay, I may not be the fastest guy. I may not be the shiftiest guy. I'm darn good.
Right.
And I'm probably going to the next level, but this guy's better. And maybe Coach DeBoer said his number one priority, developing a team. And this was last week on Hey Coach. Booker said this. He said, what sold you on staying? And he said, Coach's number one priority, we stick together.
Yep.
And I think
he always seems to mention that. DeBoer does in all his press conferences, playing as one. Such and such is one. So-and-so is one. Is together as a team. That kind of stuff.
Tyler Booker said that last week. He said when Coach DeBoer said his first priority is togetherness and we stick together, he said, I was sold.
Yeah.
So, all right, before we get back
MPH, he is, but you'd be hard pressed to find somebody with faster football speed than Milroe. I mean, that guy. Yeah. That guy's at full speed in about 2 strides.
It's like putting Henry Ruggs' speed in Jalen Hurts' body.
Yeah.
And putting the quarterback talent of Mac Jones in his arms. And I know we're going to get to it a little bit later on the stats, but and so people might freak out.
An interesting comparison Bill worked up. We're going to get into a little bit later.
So here's something I love that Coach DeBoer is doing. All right, this is weird. it's been 17 years one way and it's changed. He moved the head coach from Thursday to Wednesday night. So it works out well. My wife and I are on the way home from church. Hey, coach, we don't talk. And so.
Does that still come on 95.1?
Yeah. And so he instead of bringing a featured media guest like Coach Saban did.
Oh, he brings players.
He brings a player. So he
it.
brought Jalen Milroe week 1. I forget who it was week 2. Last week it was Tyler Booker. And last night, Jahad Campbell. And somebody had a question about the defense. And coach says, Jahad, you want to help me out on this? And I loved it. It's psychologically awesome. And it's just, and they said, how are you going to deal with a dual threat quarterback like Vanderbilt's got, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Like, that's right, Cat.
Oh, that's beautiful.
That's right. You got 20 minutes in the car, put it on, hey, coach.
That's it.
You're right, Cat.
That's too funny.
Sorry,
Bill. Didn't mean to interrupt you, but this was fun. That was funny.
I may or may not agree. Okay. So instead of solving the world's problems, we listen to Hey Coach. So the question was, how are you going to handle this dual threat quarterback who's got all these yards, he's got all these moves, Vandy, et cetera, et cetera. And the question was for King Caleb. And Coach DeBoer says, Jahad, what do you think about that? You want to help me out? And Jahad
kill everybody.
He says, well, everybody's got to do their job and stick to the plan. And he goes on and on and on. And he said, what we've learned, what we've been taught, we're going to implement. And I love that because psychologically, it's a message back to the team. And also, it's the coach saying, you guys are a part of our. You aren't just a part. You are why we're successful. So tell it. And Jahad, he's not reciting the script, but he is reciting. But it's his script, and it was really good. And when Booker was on there, when Milroe was on there.
We're getting there.
He'd take a question and say, hey, y'all answer it. And I like that. That's cool. That's real cool. All right, what's up?
Yeah. I do too. I do. No, he asked if we were talking recruiting. We're going to get to that. Not quite yet.
A little bit.
Michael's a big recruiting guy, and he's not here tonight. He may be here later, but he's not here right now. So we'll give you as much as we can.
He's our equivalent of on three.
What we've heard in terms of recruiting. Michael's the recruiting buff. I lost my train of thought there, but
just talking about how Coach DeBoer is doing subtle changes.
Oh yeah. So what Jahad should have said when they asked him that, he should have just leaned up, got right in the camera and said, kill everybody.
Well, I think he was trying to be respectful,
because everybody lost their minds over Ryan Williams' little tape. Tape said, not having any clue what that was from, but everybody went bananas.
So help me out, because it's probably from something younger than me. What is it from?
Okay, so it's from the movie The Program back in the early 90s.
Yeah.
James Caan, Omar Epps was in it. There's a few other guys in there too. Great movie. One of my favorite movies. Christy Swanson was in there as well. One of my favorite movies. Yeah. But it's and there's a character on the football team named Alvin Mack. He's a linebacker. He's like Lawrence Taylor of the line. I mean, he's just a mean, bad MFer. All right.
That's right.
But the problem is he can't read or write. All he can do is play football. And they're just greasing him through college. Spoiler alert, if you haven't seen the movie Mute, they're just greasing him through college. All he's got to do is get to sign a contract in the NFL and, everything will be fine because he's obviously going to be in the NFL. I won't say any more, but he's like a bad MF and trash talking, gut busting linebacker. So he talks trash to everybody during the games and all that stuff. So they're doing a film session and they're all in there and they're watching film. And he's like, they're out, and the coach, James Conn, asked him, like, what's your responsibility? And he's given his responsibility to each thing. And he's like, kill this, kill the quarterback, kill everybody. That was just like each little thing. It was like, kill the running back, kill the quarterback. And then the next clip, the next thing the coach showed him, he said, kill everybody. So he was saying what his responsibilities were with every time he clicked because this is back early 90s. So it was like projector, it wasn't like the computers now where you can touch the screen and, rewind, fast forward, it was, those projector clicks and all that stuff. And so he clicks one picture and he's like, kill the running back, clicks it, kill the quarterback, clicks it again. And he goes, kill everybody. It's kind of like a montage type thing. Yeah. And so that's where that kill everybody came from. If you haven't seen that movie, go watch it. If those in the chat haven't
Eric's
seen
got a good comment here. Eric's got a good comment. I'd like to address that. His last one. That one right there. Coach Saban always said, make the guy in front of you quit. What's the difference? There is no difference. There might be a different vibe, but the intent has not changed. Trust me, the intent has not changed.
That was one of the greatest pregame speeches of all time. That was right before LSU, wasn't it?
Yeah. That was it. Yeah.
And
he make that SOB in front of you quit.
Some make his ass quit. That's our MO as a team.
In his press conference in January of 2007, he said, after he got kissed by some random lady in a Walmart jersey, he said, my goal here is that we build a program where other people say, I hate playing those guys.
I think he's succeeded.
And I don't think that's been changed a bit. Violent intensity red is exactly it. And
bad intentions. And they came with bad intentions Saturday. They just got tired.
Jeff's been saying that the whole time. Bad intentions. This swarm defense is personified by bad intentions.
Love it. They just got tired. The offense did them no favors.
That series with 10 minutes to go in the fourth is exactly the point where we got exhausted, because it should have gotten us off the field. It should have made Georgia either kick or punt, and instead they drive the ball and they score, and then we do jack nothing on the next drive.
Momentum is real in football, people. Those that don't
especially
believe
college.
Yeah.
Especially in college.
Yes, especially with these kids, man. They're just especially.
Yeah, I'll say, this thought will come back to me. You're talking about the program. Oh, I know what it was. Here's time for a bit of an old man story. We don't have to go to.
Oh, boy.
A friend of mine played for Auburn University. He was a linebacker. He's fourth leading tackler at Auburn University. Played 6 years in the pros. And there we go. And his name's Anthony Harris. And Coach Harris, if you're listening, love you. He said he was in a film session. This is when Jimmy Johnson was the coach of the Dolphins. And he said, there's another story that accompanies this that can wait. He's in the linebacker room, and the number one linebacker, number 2 draft pick, second round draft pick for Miami, badass linebacker. He said the defensive coordinator, linebacker coach, sitting there clicking, what's the assignment here? What's the assignment here? And this guy says, get the ball. What's the assignment here? Get the ball. Well, the assignment on that play, he actually went the wrong way. And so he says, shoot, I'm going to go get the ball. And he said, the D coordinator, linebacker coach just froze. And Coach Harris said that guy looked at him like it was 10 minutes. He said it might have been 10 seconds. Perfect silence. He said, we keep watching film. He said, we walk out of the film room, and he said, there's a guy in a shirt and tie standing by the door, grabs that second round draft pick by the elbow and says, Coach Johnson needs to see you in his office. Bring your playbook.
Oh boy.
He said, Jimmy cut a dude in a film session in midseason. He said, you don't screw around in the NFL. You do your job.
Man, Jimmy led by fear, baby.
Yeah. He said, so Anthony tore his groin muscle off the bone and tore his Achilles. And he said, I had to dress out in sweatsuits to watch practice for Jimmy Johnson. He said, I was hiding behind shrubbery. He said, Jimmy Johnson will cut you if you can't get on his field. And
got time for you.
So he said, so back to the point of kill everybody, do your job. And that's what Jihad said the other night was, we do our job the way we've been taught. We're going to rock this. One other thing, well, I already touched on how Coach Womack said they can show 3 to 4 different looks in one snap. But it still comes down to do your job. And
that's true.
So, all right.
That's true. That's a good
ahead.
segue because we're talking about the game day environment in Tuscaloosa as well. You know, whoever is in charge of that is killing it.
Mm-hmm.
Because that now I haven't been there for a night game, but seeing it on TV, Josh Pate talked about it as well. How that is that's the craziest game day environment going right now. How awesome it is. How it's just the light show, just everything is so cool. Dixieland Delight was just awesome on the videos I've seen. I don't think they had it on TV. I think it was a commercial when they were doing that, but it was man, it was great, dude. What's up, Knob Pod? What's up, dude?
Knob, good to see you, bro.
Yeah, but it was what a great game day experience in terms of the Pate said it best. He said Alabama has taken the history, the pageantry, the nostalgia, and mixed it beautifully with modern day music and modern day lights and modern day presentation and a beautiful infusion of the pageantry and the modern day stuff to create that just insane environment. And Tuscaloosa and Brian Denny brought it Saturday night.
That's right.
There were 100 some odd visitors in. Dude, we had some of the top basketball players in. We had 3 or 4 top basketball players in.
There was something 50 NFL scouts.
Just nuts. We had 9 5-stars from the 26 class were there, or 10, or some crazy. The number 1 basketball player in the nation was there.
I'm listening.
We're talking about Nasty Nate, baby. That's a whole. I mean, we getting there too. We getting closer. Nasty Nate started to take over too, man. Because this basketball season is going to be legit. But he was. I saw a clip of him in the stands when Williams scored that last touchdown. He was going nuts like I was on my back porch. I mean, if the pool water would have been warmer than 80 degrees, I would have cannonballed in it when he scored that touchdown. I mean, I was going nuts.
Oh, yeah. Well, I was
shout out to JT for going nuts. I wasn't quite at his level, but I was pretty excited.
It was that was man, that ending was I'm gonna tie a bow on that.
Lance, there's no way that Bama Tennessee is not going to be the primetime game.
It's going to be the primetime game, and
I know Texas Georgia that night, but no chance that Bama Tennessee is not the primetime game in my opinion.
Typically, Bama is a 2:30 game with Tennessee. Typically,
well, that was always the CBS. That had nothing to do with Tennessee. That was CBS's game of the week, so they would. That was 2 years ago.
2 years ago, it was a late afternoon CBS game because it was.
Sometimes they do those double headers.
Yeah, it was it wasn't 7 o'clock kickoff, but it wasn't 2:30. It was real dark.
6.
Yeah.
I think did you see the ratings for Bama Georgia? Is the highest rated game ever. You think CBS is kicking themselves in the balls for not re-signing that deal?
Not spending some coin.
I'm glad we didn't, because I love Herb Street and Fowler calling a game. I think Chris Fowler is just phenomenal in my opinion.
Phenomenal. And Herb Street's analysis outshines anything Gary can do. And Gary, now I know we all dislike Gary Danielson, but he was a quarterback. he knows what he's looking at when he's looking at the field.
He was insightful.
Yeah,
he just
it was just hard to hear. It's hard to hear.
Yeah,
I do think I think Georgia Texas is the 2:30 game. I think we'll be the 6:30 game. And that's
Tennessee will be undefeated when we play them.
Yeah,
so that'll be. We better be undefeated when we play them. There's no reason we should not be undefeated when we play Tennessee. So that'll
Vanderbilt, South Carolina,
top
then
5.
Tennessee.
That'll be 2 top 5 teams going that night. If we're both undefeated, we'll both be in the top 5. That'll be the 6:30 game. No question in my mind.
Knob, I love you. Gary is a boomer. I'm not a boomer, but I'm close enough to count. No, Gary.
Yes, I agree with this. I like Gus Johnson, though, but Chris Fowler is the best.
Gus and Joe Tessitore think every play is Brian Williams making the final touchdown.
Dude, Tessitore,
it's not.
He's a good announcer. Like he's really good. He's really good, but he's gotten over the top with like every play. Like I'm in the kitchen making something. I was watching. I had the Auburn Oklahoma game on. And I'm in the kitchen making something, and I hear Tessitore losing his mind. So I'm like running around the corner, like thinking something's going down, and it's like 2nd and 7, and the running back's getting up from the middle of the pile because he just ran up the middle, and he must have just the opening yard. But God,
yeah, it was just the opening kickoff. You're like, what did I miss? It's still first quarter, 15-0.
Yeah, and I'm running in there expecting to see a pick 6 or a scoop and score or just something nuts, and it was nothing.
I like Gus. I like Tess, but man, you gotta tap the brakes a little bit. You know, let's save it for a real big play.
And Joel Klatt pissed me off this week, but I do like him. He normally
Joel Klatt.
It's pretty good, but he pissed me off.
Did you see it? Did you see him?
All right, Joel, still love you.
He was on with Jim Dunaway, Ryan, whatever. The guys out of Birmingham, Dunaway and
yes,
I can't. Anyway, he was on with them, and he said, "Klatt. What I like about Klatt, when in the moment Klatt says stuff, you're like, dang, what are you talking about? Then when he gets a minute to think about it, like he did, coming out of the weekend." He said, honestly, I didn't have time to watch the game and react like I wanted to, so I had to rewatch it. And he said, and he said this after week 3, and then we had the break. He said he maintains this is the most explosive offense in the country. And he's the one that brought up what are you going to do? You're going to put a spy on Milroe and leave Hollywood open? You're going to put 2 on Hollywood and leave Milroe open?
Yeah.
Yeah. And Chris, I think Chris is right.
I agree. Knob's right here. He was great. He was great in the Wisconsin game.
Yeah, well, he was live and informed.
Yeah.
And that's what
he was calling what he saw, and he was seeing these things happen. And then he comes back a week later and goes, here's the top 5 most impactful people this year. And lists the defensive coordinator for Miami or something was one of them. And I was like,
yeah.
What?
Well,
no Ryan Williams, you mean?
Well, and he has to go, we are looking at a very narrow window of the SEC, and these analysts are looking at every conference. And, I'm guilty of this my whole life. The SEC is the best conference in the world. Only talk about the SEC, and I'm happy with that because we are the best conference. But there are other things to bring into the conversation. Mid-90s, even if you loved your SEC team, you had to take your hat off and say, okay, Nebraska beats everybody. And they did.
Yeah. It's an interesting comment here.
It is.
So I was not a fan of Eli Gold. Eli Gold, the person, fantastic. Yeah. This is not about the person, Eli Gold. I was not a fan of Eli Gold, the commentator, the radio broadcaster. He was terrible to me, and I could not listen to radio broadcasts with him.
I'll tell you what, I think
the best basketball announcer I've ever heard. He's phenomenal calling a basketball game.
and this is
a little
actually a
rough around the
basketball
edges
shirt.
calling football. Yeah. He's getting his feel calling football games. A little bit different. He's getting there.
Yeah.
He's I can already listen to him more than I can listen to Eli. But his basketball game, he's the best in the game basketball in my opinion.
Chris
is fantastic.
Is great at basketball. I'll say this on basketball, and there's a lot of good ones in the history of calling sports.
Yeah.
Jack Crystal from Mississippi State he called everything Mississippi State ever did for like 62 years. And Jack Crystal did Mississippi State basketball so well. He would sit there like this with a Chesterfield 100 burning out, hanging out of his corner. And he'd sit there like this.
Check the field,
He'd sit there like this with his arms crossed, calling the game like this, left and right. And I know this because I sat there in the field house and saw it. And he's got their name. He's got their number. He knows exactly what the move is. He knows their hometown and their mama and their grandma. And Jack Crystal was amazing at basketball. Chris Stewart is almost that good. And he's darn good.
And his homerness is.
I like
Stewart's homerness. Yeah. I want my radio broadcaster to be the biggest homer on the planet.
And
that was my problem with Eli,
Eli was too neutral.
Was so neutral, and he would focus on the wrong things, and you'd never know the score. You'd never know where you were on the field, but you'd know the color of the uniforms. And he just had these goofy, cheesy sayings all the time. The world is spinning right on its axis again. What the hell are you talking about? Or he would, and he's gonna go. Or he breaks a tackle. He spins away. He's gonna go, and it'd be a 4-yard gain.
I'm gonna say something.
He'd throw deep to Julio, and he'd catch it, and you'd know he's gonna score. And Eli would, all right, he's got the ball, 3, 10, 15, 5, touchdown. And it's like, I don't know.
Eli came from the school. Eli's not from Alabama.
No.
So he's not a homer. He became a homer. Now, when I wasn't living in Alabama, it was great to hear Eli because
it was familiar.
Because it was Sweet Home. It was like Sweet Tea, Alabama.
Yeah.
And
I'll give you that. I'll give you that. I just was never a fan of the way he called the game.
Yeah, I wanted more homer. Now, the guy that used to be the radio guy before Eli, I can't remember his name.
I used to have him on the. I used to have him on that Whoopins tape. Yeah, it was on that Whoopins tape with all those radio broadcasts. Doug Latham or something, was that one of them?
No, Doug Latham was always sideline in color.
Okay.
Or spotter.
Oh man.
Anyway, he was the voice of Alabama forever. He was actually one of the founding members of the Crimson Tide Sports Network. And
gotcha.
And Ray Perkins, when he came in, he wanted to flip the apple cart completely over. He fired the radio guy. He brought in a guy, Paul, somebody that was good, but he wasn't Alabama. And then Ray did all the Ray crap he did. And Eli at first sounded like he was loyal to his paycheck. Then he was loyal to Alabama, and he was good at it.
Yeah.
But it was still that universal broadcasting school of you call the game, you don't pick sides. The two best radio voices in football that I've ever heard are the worst homers you've ever heard. Larry Munson at Georgia.
Yeah, I was about to say Larry Munson.
And Jim Fife at Auburn. Jim Fife.
Oh,
Jim Fife
he was the nicest guy.
Jim was a great guy. I got to meet him. He's a super guy.
Yeah.
And Jim could call a basketball game.
Yeah. He was great.
He was slick at calling basketball. But Jim, there was an SEC media, SEC Sports did a show on voices of the SEC. and they interviewed. He's a guy that has been with Alabama radio forever. He played at Alabama. The I Like to Practice award in spring training is named after that guy. Oh man, old man brain. But he said he said
wasn't
this. He said
the Mississippi State coach.
No, this was an Alabama guy that worked for the network. He said the way I treat it, he says, I went to the University of Alabama. I work for the Crimson Tide Sports Network. I don't have to apologize for being a homer for the Alabama Crimson Tide.
You're supposed to. Larry Munson, that was the
That was Munson. That's why Fife was so good. And that's why
what
Chris
I want
Stewart,
from my radio announcer.
Yeah. When Chris Stewart in that A&M game last year, let's get out of here. I love that.
Yeah. That's his famous sign. That's his famous sign off. Something, and let's get out of here. And go to the Final Four.
That was spontaneous. Yeah. But Chris, I have been on the road.
You're talking about Rod Bramlett. He's talking about Rod Bramlett.
Yeah, Rod and the current Auburn guy, they both said, well, we were brought up in the communication school where you don't show your colors.
Well, I want my radio guy showing all his colors.
I do too. I want that guy to call it like his life depends on it. And way back when, I still can't remember the Alabama guy, before Jim Fife, that Auburn group that did it back in the 70s. Because back then nobody was on TV, every week except Notre frickin' Dame. So you had to listen to everybody on radio. And so, yeah, Auburn and Alabama, those announcers made you feel like you were in the stadium because it was your team, it was their team. Roll damn Tide. And Chris is getting there on football. Chris, he's not old, but he's feeling it out. But I sure like his basketball analysis because I've been on the road and I put my phone on a station that I can pick up, and I listen to Alabama basketball, and it's as exciting.
Yeah, he's fantastic.
It's exciting, and I'm breaking speed records, and I'm coming back from Panama City, and instead of 3 hours and 5 minutes, it's 2 hours and 30 minutes, and because I hammer down and Bama's rolling.
So big news today that Deuce Knight flipped his commitment from Notre Dame to Auburn.
Yeah.
Did he Notre Dame commit?
Yeah, it was.
And then I read somewhere on Twitter today that somebody was expecting, Bama to get a bunch of commitments coming out of the weekend. And I started thinking about this, and I don't know if this is what's happening, but this is what I'm telling myself, that King Kalen is so confident in the program and what he's selling to these kids that he wouldn't let any of them commit on a flesh decision. It's almost like he has enough confidence in the staff and the program that he was like, go home, sleep on it, take your visits. We'll be here when you want to think about it again. Don't just haul off and commit because your emotions are high off the Georgia game and everything's hype and you got to be in the celebration and all that stuff, whatever. And it's just the most amazing thing. God, yes, I want to come here, commit now. I commit now, forever now. You know? And then 2 weeks later, you're like, oh man, I got to move. I got to move 6 hours away or whatever. So part of me is telling myself this, that King Kalen just said is just like, hey guys, go home, sleep on it. Take a couple other visits, sleep on it. We'll be here. We're not going anywhere. This thing just started. So that's what I could be completely off base. I got nothing to base that off of, but the fact we didn't get any commitments coming out of that game, I'm wondering if he almost wouldn't take them. Like you're just committing now because it's right in your face. You need to go home and exhale and talk to your family and really make the right choice.
Well, you got a great point. We talked about this a few weeks ago. There's only a few slots left in the 25 class yet to be committed. And of all the people, the recruits that were there on Saturday, I'll use this phrase: the soft sale might be the right sale.
Yeah.
It's because, like I said, he didn't have to go in there and say to all 100 plus recruits, "We only got 4 slots. What you want?" They know. So it's a matter of, we invited you here because we like you and we're interested in you. Let's see what happens. And with Auburn getting that flip from Deuce Knight, I'm not worried about it, because Deuce Knight might flip again, because Auburn's straight trash. He's either going there because he knows he can get on the field next year, or he's saying this to just shut everybody up.
Bingo, bingo, bingo.
Yeah.
He's going there because he knows he's already the best quarterback on the team. He's not on the team yet.
Right. They don't have a quarterback.
Everybody's like,
on
how
campus.
could he want to go there? Have you seen the product? And I'm like, exactly. He knows he'll walk in the door and already be the QB1.
Mm-hmm.
That says a lot. He goes to Bama, like Keelan Russell's in the mix.
He is Auburn's hope of being Nico. I'm not there yet. Leave a guy. And he's whatever that is for Auburn, because they don't have a quarterback on campus, and they hope they can get this guy on campus. And I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think Jonathan's right. We're looking for a few others to flip or confirm.
Tony decommitted from Miami today, so
right. And Justice Terry still said he's not announcing until December. And his 2 top teams were Bama and Georgia, and he was there. No, he was playing. He was playing.
Yeah, he was going to be there, but he couldn't wind up going. Yeah.
Right. So,
I thought Nico was a redshirt freshman, but yeah, you may be right, Lance.
I think he might be right. I am not worried about Auburn and their recruiting. Somebody said, "Oh, they're still number 3 in the country in recruiting for 25." They haven't got 3 wins yet. So
yeah.
let's tap the brakes on who's.
I mean, they're going to get players. They're going to throw enough money around. They're going to use. These players see the product and know that they can get on the field.
And Auburn is not a horrible program.
No,
it's just they're in a bad state right now.
They're just in that rut. They got a lot of Chiefs around there. And Alabama was in that boat for many years, where the good old boy network was running rampant up there, and it took the dictator coming in there and saying, "This stops now."
Knob's got a great point here. A&M is the best example of this whole money buying recruiting thing, and you can't do crap with it.
Yes, I mean you're seeing that this year with all those fancy receivers, and Auburn can't do anything on offense.
Nope, ain't got anybody to throw it to them. They got Rico throwing.
They don't got a trigger man, and so that's what I'm saying. I can't believe Hugh Freeze is not going to get a decent QB up there at some point. I mean, he's coached, although his QB whisperer designation's a little bit overstated. If you look at,
I think he's
all his quarterbacks down the line. Really, what's his name? Malik Willis at Liberty is the only one that really put up decent numbers. Like elite numbers. Everybody else was double-digit interceptions every year, 13, 14, 15, 12, 14.
I honestly think the more I look at Hugh, he is a second coming of Gus. He can't develop talent, but you give him somebody with talent, he can do something with it. And this year is a great example of that.
Yeah, Jonathan. Ike T. Square.
Yeah.
His son. I'm a huge Steeler fan, so me and Ike Taylor have a long relationship going back many years.
I see there's a Steeler decal in your corner.
Yes, there is right here. My Steeler bling right here.
That's right.
Big Steeler fan. Ike T squared, Ike Taylor. That's actually who gave up the 80-yard touchdown to Tim Tebow in that overtime of that Broncos game.
Yeah. Lance has a great point here. A good quarterback, where's he going to go? He's got about 5 places he's going to go. And ain't none of them in West Georgia.
Well, either Deuce Knight's a hype then, because, apparently he's not terrible. I'm sure they did put a picture of Cam Newton on their recruitment announcement. That was kind of funny, I thought. What?
I think, hey, look, bless their heart. Go drink some tea on the front porch while we're kicking everybody else's butt.
Yeah. Let the grown-ups talk.
Yeah.
That's cute. That's cute. You got a QB next year. That's cute. Now let the grown-ups talk.
They need something to make them appear
Heupel
relevant.
too. Yeah, Lance is right. Heupel, we can put a Heupel on that list.
Yeah, Heupel. I was skeptical. He was at Central Florida. What did I see? 1 game a year from him, and he's got the pocketbook and the recruiting base at Tennessee now. The dude's he's legit, and I'm concerned about that game in a few weeks. Eric's right. Our recruiting is about to be off the chains, and we've locked in a lot of people for 25.
Somebody closed his recruitment recently. That Bama recruit. What's his name?
Oh, we talked about him last week, and everybody gave me crap for finally bringing it up.
But he closed off his recruitment. He's like, I'm done. This is what I want to do.
Yeah, because he saw the product and he sees the future. The current product is awesome, and the future looks real good. This is a great example of a foundation being in place, and then the athletic director getting a coach that knows how not to screw up and build on. We've seen other places where there's a foundation in place, and a coach comes in and tries to undo and redo, and it's a disaster. And Coach DeBoer, he's got his plan, and we'll get to my stats in a minute. What Coach DeBoer has done is he looked at Jalen Milroe and he looked at his talent pool and said,
Duke Johnson. That's who I was thinking of. Go ahead,
Duke Johnson. Yeah, Duke. Coach DeBoer said, here's my talent pool that exists. I'm not going to ignore them. I'm going to work with them, and they're going to be good. And I'm going to make them better. In the past 5 years, our offensive coordinators tried to make our quarterbacks into something they were not. Bill O'Brien wrecked Bryce.
Struggled.
Tommy Rees last year wanted Jalen to be something he was not. And Jalen's productivity this year is far better because the coaches came in and said, here's what Jalen's skill sets are. Let's maximize them. And they're maximized. And I think Eric's right.
Yes,
Anquan Fagans might flip as well. Anquan Fagans might seriously flip. But it's a big difference where Reese, I'm sorry, my camera just got bumped. It could be a feline. Reese, was trying to figure things out.
No.
No.
I think he's 13-2.
Yeah. He's beaten Dan Lanning a couple of times. He's beaten Sark a couple of times. He's beaten Kirby. Line them up.
Coach you just named 3 coaches that have never beaten him. That's all. I do know that.
Yeah, and those are good coaches.
One of the guys that beat him is in the NFL now, so he's not even coaching college anymore.
Yeah, I'm excited about the future. All right, so what's our next turning point?
So let's say we were talking quarterbacks just a minute ago, and that's a good segue into our little segment here tonight, where Bill has gone and done some research and pulled stats from the last 4 years of quarterbacks with Mac. So with Mac, Bryce, Millie last year, and then parts of Millie this year. So I'm gonna bring up this sheet that Bill made here, and we're gonna discuss
All right. So what you see here is Mac had numbers that are incomparable. These are Joe Montana numbers that Mac had. Unbelievable. Now, what was his receiving core like? It was an amazing receiving core. You'll see here he had 4 total interceptions in 13 games. He played 10, 11 SEC games, plus then the bowl games. 4,500 yards. Mac had numbers. It's hard. His completion ratio was 77% through 13 games. Crazy numbers. All right, go to Mac had stupid numbers, and somebody
look at these. Look at this season. Look at that season of him.
Yeah,
his worst game was 82% completion, 208 yards, no turnovers.
Well, he had a 77% at game 6, but no turnovers and 4 touchdowns.
I mean, his worst game was 230 yards and 2 touchdowns, 66%.
And in the national championship game, 464.
Yikes. 5.
You know, and he throws 5 touchdowns.
He was taking candy from a baby that night. That was hysterical. I mean, that was just
Mac. He might be the best college quarterback as far as stats go and percentages and all that.
I mean, that season was just ridiculous. And he lost Waddle halfway through it, or like 6 games into it.
Yeah. Bryce had amazing numbers his first year. 4,800 yards passing, 69% completion, 47 touchdowns to 7 interceptions. Crazy numbers. 3 rushing touchdowns, pretty good. But look what Bill O'Brien did to him in year 2. Now, Bryce did get injured and he missed a game. Let's take that into consideration.
He's down 1,500 passing yards from the year
before. That ain't one game. Exactly.
I mean, this is insanity. 10% completion percentage.
Yeah, 10%, 1,500 yards, 15 touchdowns. He had less interceptions. He did have more rushing touchdowns, but it was still weird. All right, Bryce, but Bill O'Brien was trying to make Bryce into something he wasn't, and we see that. All right, Jalen Milroe under Tommy Reese. Again, Tommy's trying to.
Yeah, Bob's right about this. The wide receiver room was very different in 22 than it was in 21.
It was. A
lot of things changed between those 2 years. But
however, that's coaching. And I'm convinced Bill O'Brien was trying to do to Bryce something that Bryce just wasn't. He was still a kid. You got to work with him. All right, so Jalen's first year as a starter. Now, Jalen had good numbers coming in as Bryce's backup. Jalen had a decent year, but, not even 3,000 yards throwing, 62% through the air, a lot of rushing touchdowns, not many picks, but not a lot of throwing. But look at through
100% knob. Yes, 100% on this.
Yeah. Wiggins was terrible. Look at Jalen Milroe through his first 4 games this year compared to last year, compared to Bryce, and compared to Mac. Mac's the only one that surpasses him. Mac just blows the doors off everybody. But 1 interception, he's getting 2 rushing touchdowns per game. It's not an average. He's getting 2 per game. And he's slinging at least 2 per game, really 3 per game. Jalen's numbers right now at week 4 are very potentially
18 touchdowns in 4 games.
Yeah.
Say it out loud.
All right, 18 touchdowns, 4 games. That's over 4 per game.
That's not fair.
He's got 1 pick that really bounced off a receiver. What? You can't blame that pick on him.
So these are pretty comparable.
And his best game this year is against Georgia, who's arguably one of the best defenses in the world. So Jalen is putting up some stats.
Putting up some stats, man.
And I would argue that if this pace continues, now you got to always add that if this pace continues, Jalen is going to make Tim Tebow's final year at Florida look small, because Tim was rushing them and throwing them.
Yeah,
Jalen's a far better quarter thrower at this point.
Yeah, this is something interesting, Eric. That he would just go ahead and flip back to Georgia if he was convinced he was going to Georgia. So
I agree.
There's something to it.
Justice Terry's playing poker.
There's something to his quietness.
He's playing poker.
He's just chilling the most. I think he knows exactly what he's going to do.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's known.
I really think Justice Terry's got good people around him, and he's taking care of business. It appears, I don't know Justice, but it appears that Justice is in the moment and going to do the best he can for his high school. And then when that's over, recenter his focus.
Man, he looked like a grown man.
Yeah.
Terry looks like a flipping grown man already.
Yeah, he's amazing. And I appreciate that he is not playing the hype stuff. I appreciate that a lot. I saw today, I forget who it was, somebody reclassified for next year. They're going from 26 to 25. And I think it's a receiver.
Who is that?
I think it's a receiver. Could be
Chat. Does anybody know who reclassified today? Does anybody in the chat know who reclassified today?
Yeah, Hayes Fawcett put it out there today. Some amazing receiver reclassified. I think it was
You're going to see a lot more of that. You're going to see a lot more of these reclassifications.
Absolutely. Was it Tony?
Was it Malachi Tony?
May have been.
Is he a receiver?
I don't remember.
Anyhow. I agree with Lance here. We need some depth on the defensive line.
Well,
best way to solve that quickly is through the portal, because you get grown men out of there and not high school kids coming in.
You definitely need some grown men and that D line position is where you don't want babies.
You need.
Let me shout out
men down there.
Let me shout out on the D line real quick.
Go ahead.
People didn't say it much Saturday night. You and I did. James Smith and Quay Rusaw from Carver and Montgomery,
representing Gumptown.
They were making plays, and they were down there in the trenches, so not everybody saw it. But go Quay,
yeah, and James. You're right.
Yeah, Donovan Murph.
You're
yes,
right.
That's the receiver I was thinking about.
And Knob's right, man. James Smith was a nasty. He was just nasty Saturday.
I was looking up and I was like, oh crap, that's James Smith down the road. Roll Tide, go Carver.
Yeah,
and,
he's getting reps and
Quay
making
is
the
not
most
100%. Quay's out there killing, kill everybody.
And speaking of that, shifting over to the offensive line, that stat I tweeted you guys. I think it was 109 pass attempts. Brailsford's given up no hurries, no sacks, no pressures, and no penalties or something like that. Eggs all the way down the list of these things on 109 pass attempts. And that got me thinking. I was talking to a buddy of mine after the game, and I was like, come to think about it, I've not called Brailsford's name once in 4 games, which is that's perfect. That's exactly what you want.
You don't.
You never want to talk about your center at all, because he's not noticeable because he's doing everything right. I couldn't believe he hadn't given up a single hurry or a sack. And then when I went back and watched the Georgia game, because of course I was going to watch that multiple times, but I paid close attention to 72 quite a bit in some of those, and his hand and footwork are phenomenal. His feet are so quick,
and he is a throwback to some other centers that we've had.
And he's short and he's light. He's only 285 pounds or 280 pounds. He's short, but he's quick and he's got leverage. Being that short, you can leverage people. You can get up under those guys. I can't get low enough to blow you off the ball, or can't get low enough to whatever. Because he's got that low center of gravity, and because his handwork is so good. I mean, guys are trying to get their hands on him. He's just swatting their hands all away from him.
Yeah, his hands it's like he's took judo or something. But let's talk about his size. You said he's short. He's almost 6'3". He's not a midget.
Short.
That's short. That's short
when the guy next to you is 6'7", 365, 6'5", 330.
When you combine his center of gravity, which is upper body for a man, he's got good hips. But his foot placement and knowing how to move, when to move, exactly. Chris is right.
Yep.
Getting that line. Now, what I was really grateful to see, we all thought we'd see it last year. We saw it Saturday night.
Bingo.
And I think we've seen it.
This is a perfect example.
Yeah.
Jason Kelsey he was 290, but technique,
solid,
footwork, handwork, leverage, solid. And I noticed that when Washington played Texas in that playoff game, because I remember how much trouble McLaughlin had with Sweat from Texas. And
Sweat was huge.
That was a bad dude. I mean, he killed poor Darian Dalcourt, cost him the job. And then he killed poor Seth McLaughlin too, cost him the rest of the year because he had the yips after that. But I was watching that Texas-Washington game, and Brailsford was holding his own with that guy because he was, like you said, he was using smarts.
Yeah.
He was using – Barrett Jones was the best at that I've ever seen. He wasn't the biggest guy, the strongest guy, the blowing people up. He would use you to block yourself half the time because he was so much smarter. He could think a foot, 2 feet in front of you, and he could read the way your body was going. And a lot of times he would just olay you, and you'd block yourself out of the play.
Bingo.
He was so good at that, and I think Brailsford shows a lot of that. He doesn't launch into guys. He lets the guy. He plays them, and then he just swats them away. I mean, it's just
Landon Dickerson was the same way. Landon was the same way. And what they did, exactly right, is
he's my favorite Alabama player.
Yeah, they went back to what have I been taught? Technique and leverage. And they didn't mess their feet up, their hips up, and their shoulders.
Yeah.
And with Barrett and with Landon, and we're seeing it with Brailsford, they are putting their in the trenches, you've got to stay square to the line of scrimmage. You can't twist left and right. You got to go laterally. And when a good lineman can go laterally, he can take care of anybody. And what we saw last year that we were hoping for last year, Caden Proctor messed up a lot. And he came along. But last week against Georgia, what Caden Proctor did, now his body's reacting the right way. He's not an overgrown child. He's got that extra year plus in it. And there were more than a couple of plays where Caden Proctor is taking on two blockers and slowing them down. Or he's pointing
one on each arm.
He's pointing off to Booker. I got this guy. You take that guy.
That was hilarious. And then what did Booker do? Blew that dude up, man. He just waylaid that guy.
He made a ham sandwich.
That was awesome. I looked up, I saw Georgia cleats pointing straight up in the air, and I said, well, Book must have got somebody.
Yeah, but then you look at the replay, and it's because Caden's backing up, and he points back. I got this guy.
Yes, that was hysterical. Yeah.
It's so similar. The way this offensive line is coming together is a lot similar to the 12 line. And
you're right. The growth in Proctor, I think a lot of that, Bill, is confidence.
Yeah.
I think it was a rough year for him last year. I don't think. What's his name? The offensive line coach from last year, that goof from Kentucky. I don't think he was his biggest fan. Mm-hmm. I don't think Proctor played with a lot of confidence. I don't think he was being taught well. And
Nope.
this year he comes in. Same thing with Milroe. Milroe was told to go play another position. And you saw the hug Millie gave Nick Sheridan in the locker room. Like, belief in somebody can do a lot. And this staff believed in Proctor enough to welcome him home.
And they're still
this offensive
young.
line coach.
Yeah.
This line coach is doing wonders with these guys. Like, he is really developing these guys into one cohesive unit. I haven't seen them play as cohesive as this. And they've only played, 2 games together? Because Proctor was out for 2 games. And
game
was
1
in and out
game
with Formby, and Roberts came in and out, and whatnot.
Yeah.
But
I would like to point out,
was real.
I would like to point out in the game 3 with Wisconsin, when Wilkin Formby was having a hard time. Wilkin Formby was having a hard time with South Florida. They put him back in at Wisconsin, and he made some key blocks on some big plays against Wisconsin. So kudos to that goes to the coach saying, we believe in you. We know you had a bad game, but we believe in you. Go out there and kick somebody's butt.
Wonders. Mentally, it just does wonders.
And when you're 18 or 19, when you're 25, you need an older grown man saying, I believe in you. Heck, I'm in the military, and I answer to a chain of command. And when a colonel or a general comes to me and says, we believe in you, keep doing what you're doing, it makes your day a lot better. And I'm not 23. And so these young men are being developed in a great, great, great way. And I'm Coach Cap. That's right, Zach. Like it. And with Coach
Cap, that's him, the offensive line coach.
What I love about Coach Cap, he's 55-ish years old. He's been an offensive line coach his whole career. He eats dirt, and he serves dirt to his players to eat. And he is old school offensive line coach. He's not trying to step on them to go somewhere else. He's trying to make them the best O-line that they can be. And that's what these young men need. And we're seeing it, and it's awesome. Walford, I don't know what Walford was doing. The guy before him,
I have no idea.
Doug Marone was in the fired NFL coaches rehab program. The guy
the
before
worst
him,
hire of Saban's entire tenure, I think.
And it should have been a good hire. It should have been a good hire.
Should have been. But he clearly was not into the college life.
And Mario Cristobal was good, but you had a feeling Mario wants to do something else. And Mario's a good coach.
He's a good coach. He wasn't the best offensive line coach.
No,
I thought the guy with the Eagles, what's his name?
Yeah.
The Eagles offensive line coach that we had for a couple of years. I can't think of his name, but I thought he was fantastic. But think about this. Also, think about this. This was not the original offensive line hire.
Nope.
He was the fallback because what's his name went with Grubb back to Seattle.
That's right.
And what an amazing home run that Debo hit with that. Like, it's almost like his personality and his toughness has worn off on these 5 linemen. And, Booker already had mean into Stoutland. That's it, K-Spray, Jeff Stoutland.
Yeah, Jeff
Stoutland already came with bad intentions. And now, this offensive line coach got him in real bad intention because they busting people up. I mean, they jacking people up.
And I want to say this. We're heading into game 5, and this offensive line is healthy. Those quads.
Let's keep them that way.
But even if somebody goes down, we're seeing the development with Wilkin Formby, the Viking. We're seeing all the development in the younger guys that is impressive. So I'm excited. I mean, I don't know how long we're going to keep this coaching staff together. I had this thought listening to the press conference the other day. I don't know how long we're going to keep Kane Womack.
If we win it all this year,
he's
one
gone.
year.
Somebody's going to get him. because he is
3 years at the most.
Yeah,
at the most 3 years.
But Mo Linguist,
he'll be the next defensive coordinator, I think.
We don't hear much from Mo Linguist, but Mo Linguist, he's putting together a product. And those freshmen that we keep yelling about, they're getting burned, but then they come back and make a play when we need them to make a play. So and then we're going
to be very fine at
Hitchler,
defensive back.
Hitchler's,
I think Mo will be the next DC. If Womack goes, I think Mo will be your next.
I agree. And offensive coordinator, I think Nick Sheridan. We still got a few years left with Nick.
Yeah, we've got at least 2 years left with him. You know, if Ty Simpson, if Milroe goes pro and Ty Simpson lights it up under Sheridan next year, then Sheridan's going to get a job somewhere.
Yeah, absolutely.
He may even get one this year, depending how far we go. And if Milroe wins the Heisman and we win the championship, maybe this year. This may be a one year thing with this.
Everybody's going to come knocking on that door at the Malmore Center.
That should have been the main thing that Saban told him was like, when you get here and start winning, be prepared for every single offseason. You're going to be hiring staff. You're going to be hiring somebody every offseason, every year. After the SEC championship game, you're gonna have to put a staff together for the playoffs because the guys are gonna be gone.
I can't remember the guy's name, but I think he was a teammate with DeBoer at Sioux Falls, and he's been coaching Arena League for like 10 years. I can't remember the guy's name.
Pruitt, I thought was the best one we had next to Smart, but he went to Tennessee and they threw him under the bus. That's what Fulmer does.
They destroyed that man. Fulmer.
Yeah, poor guy did exactly what he was told, and they threw him under the bus for it. So
I met Pruitt, and I can confirm that he definitely feels like Fat Phil.
He fell on the sword, but at the same time,
Fat Phil put the sword in front of him.
You took the job. You should have known beforehand. I really want to be a coach, but not this bad. That's what Kirby did. Kirby turned down a lot of jobs before he took the Georgia one.
Well, Kirby turned down South Carolina, Auburn, and somewhere else. I think Florida. He turned down 2 or 3.
So you don't have to take every job you're offered.
No.
I thought Pruitt would have been fine to pass on that. He would have had he would have had a head coaching gig somewhere. But
Pruitt,
had he took a shot and he paid the price.
Had Pruitt stayed, he might have been there when Coach Saban retared. Pruitt, I love that 16 defense. My goodness.
Bad dude on the team.
But I can't remember the guy's name. He's a longtime teammate / friend of DeBoer. He's been coaching Arena League, and the guy is an offensive genius. I wouldn't be surprised. I would not be surprised if Coach DeBoer calls him up and says, "Hey, I need you to come. I got a spot." Because Arena League in the Midwest is fun, and you get having
fast.
a good time. Yeah, but I'm sure. Too. I bet the paycheck ain't as good as the SEC.
Few are.
Yeah, exactly.
Top to bottom, anywhere.
We're approaching some time here. We're going to turn our attention to the weekend.
Yes. Before we sign off for the night, thank you for everybody in the chat for hanging out with us for this almost hour and a half. Wow, we've been going an hour and a half. I didn't realize that.
It's been a good time.
So Saturday at Vanderbilt, classic trap game. I don't think that's going to be a problem with this team. I think this team is really hyper focused on 1-0. Everything is 1-0. Your drill you're doing in practice that day, 1-0. Your whatever you're doing in practice, 1-0. Whatever you're studying in film, 1-0. Whatever your opponent is, 1-0. No matter who you played last week or what, this team really, this Debo really seems to have these guys in that 1-0 mentality. Jalen Milroe mentions it just about every post-game interview, that 1-0 mentality. And I really think this team's hyper-focused on that. They all got a chip on their shoulder. They weren't really given much of a chance. Husky Harzen, they called him. The damn dude, 13-2 against ranked teams.
Yeah.
Undefeated against Kirby, Sark, Lanning, and some somebody else, but everybody, they called them Husky R's, and okay. But yeah, they put traps all over the complex all week. Rat traps they put all over the complex all week.
Yeah.
I love that. Reminding you of a trap game. All that stuff. Don't listen to the rat poison. I mean, it's just these guys are really in touch with these players and the distractions they face in terms of social media and media hype and all that stuff, to get out in front of it like that and remind everyone, hey, now Vandy got a quarterback now. So this isn't just stroll up to Vandy and kick their teeth in and come home like it's been the last 50 years. You know, we're going to have to go up there and we're going to have to execute, play disciplined football. And if we do that, it shouldn't even be a problem, and we should easily take care of business. But if we go up there, you know, nonchalant, Vandy's going to sneak. And, you know, next thing you know, we're going to get a wake-up call at halftime and it be like a one-score game and shake us out of it. But I don't think this team has that problem.
I don't think we're going to see Vandy keeping it close after the, first quarter.
Yes, Chris, we do. Too much.
I think I was there in 2017 when it was the freshman breakout party at Vandy, and everybody ate, and that D lineman,
everybody ate that day.
That D lineman from Vandy said, "Alabama, you're next."
Poor guy.
Poor guy.
I get what he was trying to do, but geez, come on, man.
They put his hind end on roller skates in that game. And at one point, he was so frustrated and embarrassed. He started just swinging, got a big penalty, and led to another score. And I think we still scored right now.
Oh, you poor kid.
I think we'll beat them. Honestly, here's my pick. Last week I said we were 38-27. The offense actually scored 38 points. The defense scored 2. So I was pretty darn close. We scored 39 on offense. I think this week's pick is Bama 52-17. Maybe
17.
Maybe 20, but because they'll get a few mercy plays. It might be 52-0. But I think the first quarter is going to be ugly. Our guys are going to come out tired. And I know it's a 3:15 kick. That stadium is hot. No, Chris, I think you're too low.
I think 45-10. That's my prediction.
It's 45-10 is good. 52-17, something like that. We're going to cover. There comes a point when you're so good, you're going to score even if you're not trying.
Yeah.
Najee Harris was running touchdowns back against Vanderbilt in 2017. He couldn't stop. At one point there was a touchdown in that game where Coach Saban was like, "Dadgummit, I don't want to score again," and somebody else scored again.
Couldn't help it.
Couldn't help it. They can't tackle you. That's their fault. I think we're going to take care of business. First quarter is just going to be ugly. I think legs are still tired, but I'm really glad. I'm very glad this is Vanderbilt, not South Carolina next week, because South Carolina, they're just better, and that's going to be a different vibe. So it is a kind of a good break. And the guy I was thinking about, his name's Curtis Riggs, spelled with a K. Curtis Riggs. He's been the head coach of the Sioux Falls Storm in the Arena League, and he and Coach DeBoer go way back. And I think
I'm with you, Eric. I want to see Ty a good bit of second half. It means we're busting them up.
Exactly. I think we'll see that just like in 2017 when we saw Tua most of the second half. I mean, the majority of the second half.
That was fun.
And I hope they give Ty the playbook. Ty, go out there and play ball.
Go out there and play it. Yeah. Let him throw.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're going to wrap it up here. Been going a good hour and a half. Bill, I enjoyed it. Cotton and Chris, hope everything is good with you guys. Hope we didn't embarrass you too bad. Everybody in the chat, thank you for participating. Yeah, we couldn't have done this without you. You guys are what makes the show what it is. Driving the topics, driving the conversations. Yeah. We don't agree on everything, but we do agree on one thing. And that's the Tide, baby.
Roll Tide. Hey, we're going to try to do an after dark tomorrow night. We may not, but we're going to try.
Thank you, Cat.
Stick around.
Yeah, I got to work tomorrow night, so I'll try to climb in there at the end. But yeah. I'm with Eric here. 45-10.
45-10 is a very good score. Pay attention
to
Twitter.
Chris. We're going to score more.
No, Chris, we're going to blow it up. Pay attention to Twitter because we may be coming on tomorrow night. If not tomorrow night, more than likely Saturday night.
All right, Bill. Well, I enjoyed it, my friend. Everyone, thanks again. Roll Tide, and we'll see everyone next week.
All right.
Remember, like and subscribe.
Yep.
Say your prayers. Drink your milk. Eat your Wheaties. Beat Auburn. LSU. Tennessee. Horns down.
Horns down.